For 440 years, the people of Israel lived in the land of Egypt. What began as refuge had become bondage. Under the shadow of the great empire of Aegyptu, they labored without rest. They built cities they would never own. They carried stones for palaces they would never enter. Their cries rose from the dust of the earth, and heaven heard them. In the midst of Egypt's power, God raised a man, Moses. He was born under the rule of Pharaoh, raised in the courts of royalty, yet called to lead slaves into freedom. He stood before Pharaoh, the ruler of the mightiest kingdom on earth, and spoke words no slave had ever dared to speak. "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and the power of God was revealed. The waters of Egypt turned to blood. Darkness covered the land. Plagues struck the pride of the empire. The gods of Egypt were silenced one by one, until at last Pharaoh broke. Israel was commanded to leave. It was night, a silent night heavy with destiny. Families gathered in haste. Mothers held their children close. Men wrapped their cloaks tightly. The long years of bondage were ending, and under the cover of darkness, a nation walked out of slavery. They did not march like an army. They moved like a people uncertain of tomorrow, carrying memories, carrying fear, carrying hope. The desert stretched before them, the wilderness of Etham. They walked by the light of fire torches, small flames flickering against the endless night. But the desert is merciless. The wind rose, the torches began to fade, darkness surrounded them, and fear began to whisper. In that moment, Moses lifted his voice to heaven, and God answered. From the sky descended a pillar of fire, not a torch, not a spark, but a towering column of flame that burned through the darkness. It stood before them, lighting the wilderness path. And when morning came, the fire transformed. A pillar of cloud rose into the sky, guiding them beneath the burning sun. Day by cloud, night by fire, the presence of God moved with them. But back in Egypt, Pharaoh awoke to a terrifying realization. The slaves were gone. The workforce of the empire had vanished overnight. Rage consumed him. His pride could not accept defeat. He summoned his chariots, 600 chosen warriors, horses trained for war, a general hardened by battle. The desert trembled beneath their pursuit. Israel marched forward, unaware that death was racing behind them. Until one day, they reached the edge. Before them, the Red Sea, endless, violent, immovable. Behind them, dust rising on the horizon, the Egyptian army. Fear spread like wildfire. The people cried out, "Was it because there were no braves in Egypt that you brought us here to die?" Panic filled the camp. But Moses stood still. He looked at the sea, he looked at the approaching army, and he spoke words that would echo through history. "Do not be afraid. Stand firm. You will see the deliverance of the Lord." But humanly speaking, there was no way forward. The sea roared, the army advanced, and the night grew heavy. The Red Sea. No way forward, or perhaps the only way forward.